From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, December the 20th, 2024. Israeli troops continue to battle terror group Hamas in Gaza, eliminating terrorists and terror infrastructure, including, the IDF said today, the destruction of 3 underground tunnels, approximately 4.5 miles long in northern Gaza. The IDF is also maintaining its positions in Lebanon and on the border with Syria. CENTCOM, U.S. Central Command, said it eliminated a leader of ISIS in a precision airstrike in Syria yesterday, also taking out another ISIS operative in the same strike, saying this is part of CENTCOM's ongoing commitment, along with partners in the region, to disrupt and degrade efforts by terrorists to plan, organize, and conduct attacks against civilians and military personnel from the U.S., our allies, and our partners throughout the region and beyond. Well, the FBI arrested a college student suspected of plotting a terror attack against the Israeli consulate in New York City. The young man, said to be an Egyptian national, is a student at George Mason University in Virginia. The Anti-Defamation League said he is also alleged to have operated several pro-ISIS and pro-Al-Qaeda accounts on various social media platforms promoting violence against Jews. Israeli Consul General in New York, Ophir Akunis, said yesterday the state of Israel deeply appreciates the swift action and cooperation of the American security services in thwarting today's attempted attack on our consulate, saying the attempted attack is proof that terror knows no boundaries and that we must fight it everywhere and every time. The school said the student, who did not live on campus, has been barred from entering university property, saying as criminal proceedings progress, the university will take appropriate action on student code of conduct violations, and said the school will take additional appropriate measures to maintain the safety of the university community. The U.S. House of Representatives released a staff report yesterday on the alarming surge of campus anti-Semitism since it wrote the horrific terrorist attack carried out by Hamas on October the 7th of last year. The Republican-led House report wrote, across the nation, Jewish Americans have been harassed, assaulted, intimidated, and subjected to hostile environments, violations that stand in stark contrast to America's fundamental values. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson announced a unified initiative to confront this crisis, it wrote, back in April, with several committees investigating, which it said have culminated in actionable findings and recommendations to safeguard Jewish Americans and uphold America's commitment to religious freedom and safety. The report focused on several universities with high reported incidents of pro-Palestinian anti-Israel demonstrations, harassment, and encampments, including Harvard, the University of Pennsylvania, UCLA, MIT, Northwestern, and Columbia. The Anti-Defamation League welcomed the report, saying the committee's investigation found that several universities failed to stop anti-Semitism on their campuses, likely violating Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. CEO Jonathan Greenblatt said, we remain committed to continuing to work with Speaker Mike Johnson and congressional leaders on both sides of the aisle to fight anti-Semitism in the 119th Congress. Well, soccer fans in England of the Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, or the Spurs as they are known, released hundreds of yellow balloons last night to raise awareness for British-Israeli hostage and Spurs fan Emily Damari and the other 99 hostages still being held by Hamas in Gaza. Damari's mother, Mandy, shared video from the stadium. The 28-year-old was abducted from Kibbutz Kfar Aza during the October 7th Hamas massacre. Itai Gal, a Spurs fan and head of the Stop the Hate campaign, said yesterday, today Spurs fans came together to show Mandy Damari that the British public has not forgotten Emily and expect our government to do everything possible to bring her home to her family. Gal saying Emily is a massive Tottenham fan and we won't rest until she is free and back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It will not be a Merry Christmas until all of the hostages are home. The 100 hostages who remain held captive by Hamas in Gaza have now been held for 441 days. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, December the 20th, live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by Shabbat services from the Hampton Synagogue. At 8:30, Justin Pines sits down with OLAM's Dyonna Ginsberg to discuss tikkun OLAM, repairing the world, especially since October the 7th. At 9:30, Abigail Pogrebin sits with Elliott Abrams to talk about his strategies for strengthening Jewish identity. At 10, David Harris speaks to CEO of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Mark Dubowitz, on the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East today. At 10:30, it's a replay of the Hampton Synagogue services, followed by a replay from Central. And coming up next, a look at this week's Torah Portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, December the 20th, 2024. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom. Am Yisrael Chai.